a minute.
Okay.
I just want to welcome our viewers, our listeners, and our homebodies to Radio Big Sky's Tuned Up in Big Sky, Episode 2, where we feature local musicians, their music, and their journey. We are unscripted, unadulterated Big Sky fun that we're going to try to avoid using the C word, and this is a time for reflection, joy, and celebration. We are blessed to be joined by Kevin Obi Wan Fabozzi for this week's show. Welcome, Kevin. Good to see you.
Great to be here. Thanks, Jeremy.
I love your map in the background. That's more exciting than my bookshelf or junk shelf that I have here. So I like your space. I'm working on my space.
Me too, always.
That's something, especially music allows you to do, which is like work on your space and identify, define where that space is. So with that said, give us a brief synopsis of how you ended up here in Big Sky.
Oh, wow. Totally by chance. But the quick story is I was finishing my final college credits from Alfred University in New York State. And I was literally on a break from class. I was about to finish the class and get my degree. And I stopped into a little sporting goods store. I was actually outside on the street and I saw a newsletter advertising for a trail crew to head out to Montana to finish up a trail that was started by some Forest Service folks from Missoula during the summer of '88. So they were all pulled off their crews to help fight fires.
Oh, right.
And a lot of projects went unfinished. And so I responded to the newsletter, and here I am. And at the same time, the interesting thing was I at that time I was reading a lot of Gary Snyder's poetry. He was, he's one of the probably lesser known beat poets who his constituents, as he says, were and are the wilderness. And so I found that really grabbed me. And so to see this trail crew opportunity come up, it just seemed like it was meant to be. And so I got involved with this crew, came to Montana, worked for about 3-4 weeks out in the southern Madison, close to here. And we finished up a trail out there. And I was actually supposed to finish up that job and hop on a plane and go to, of all places, Aspen or Vail. I don't even remember which now. Never got on the plane, hitchhiked to Bozeman, met people right away, was welcomed in Bozeman. The rest is history. What can I say?
You say hitchhike from New York to Bozeman, or did you fly in?
No, just I was dropped off when the crew ended. I was dropped off at the airport, and I was supposed to get on a plane the next day.
Go to somewhere else.
And so I just hitchhiked into town and never got on that plane.
Well, we are community members and friends and neighbors. We are excited that you did not get on that plane. So
me too, man. Me too. It changed my life for sure.
Awesome. That was what we call like a pivot moment of your life, where you had a decision and you went this way, and then now here you are. Not that you would have not had a great life otherwise, but we would have not have been as blessed to have you in our lives. So that's really cool. Quick question: did you go back and finish that class, or did you just take off? Did you finish?
No. I finished the class before I bought the plane ticket. So I bought the plane ticket with a return flight several weeks later, and I just never got on the return flight.
Awesome.
So before I knew it, I was hitchhiking to Big Sky and interviewing for jobs at the Big Sky Resort.
Is that where you started, Big Sky Resort?
Yeah. I was a lift operator there in 1992. I was the only applicant with a 4-year college degree, so they had to hire me.
Right. I see there's a little, what do they call that when you're bow and arrow and you have your arrows in your
quiver.
I see a quiver behind you. I can only see maybe an electric guitar there in my view. Was wondering,
oh, yeah.
what is your quiver of instruments that you play?
Yeah, so I started out as a young musician. My eldest brother taught me drums and my first guitar chords. He got me my first guitar, acoustic guitar. So I grew up playing rock and roll riffs on electric guitar and Neil Young's live Rust cover to cover until it didn't play anymore. So that's kind of how I learned. I learned by watching for sure. But there was always a rock band in my basement as a kid. So I gravitated down into the basement and hung out under the stairs and watched my brother's rock band all the while, wanting to learn how to play.
Cool.
So yeah, did I digress already?
No, when did you start playing? As far as what age was that when you were watching? But you say you're a visual learner here. I'm seeing, but audio has to come in too. So, at
Yeah.
what point in your life, age-wise, or time in your life, did you say, "I'm going to pick this up and I'm going to watch and listen and play"?
Ooh, early, I would say, by the time I would say probably by even 9 or 10, I was, I could tune my guitar, and I could navigate through my brother's record collection as I was starting to build my own record collection. And
Yeah.
I don't probably, I would say probably, maybe a little later than I decided that I kind of made the decision. I don't know that ever happened. Like, I think I just naturally, from an early age, I was holding instruments. There's pictures of me in my crib with a guitar, with a plastic, Kmart guitar
Right.
in my hands, right after I could walk, and I'm holding it left-handed, and so there's, I think my brother, 6 years older than me, he had a big influence. So I guess, yeah, I would say 10 or 12. I think I bear down on it.
That's a pretty cool journey up to where you are now, which is playing professionally, while running a business and being a father and a husband. Uh, but is there a certain so you played drums, you banged on those for a little bit, you played electric. Are there any other instruments that have come into your life that you find meaningful and like, this is my go-to, this is my little baby?
Yeah, guitars are great. The journey on the guitar is so much different than any other instrument for me.
Why is that?
Um, I because I think getting turned on to mandolins in the mandolin family, that was the fork in the road for me, where I never did play in rock bands. I never did get involved in college bands or rock bands. It's always been sort of a solo journey, that up until really just recently, I feel like music is more of a it's more a therapy almost, for me, where like even compositions now have turned into more like, um, they're not necessarily songs more than they are, um, you know what's the word I'm looking for, um, almost like, um, gosh,
Like
I'm
a
spacing the
meditative,
word to
transforming
describe it, but
space, uh,
pardon?
like a mantra of music.
Yes, yeah. Almost like they're like meditations.
Right,
That's
right. Cool.
yeah.
Um, with that said, it would be awesome if you pick out of your quiver and
Mhm.
give us a little taste of Kevin Fabozzi.
Okay, sure. Just recently, so I was involved with a mandolin orchestra years ago out of the Bozeman area,
Remember that?
and I played this. This is a mandola. So this is the one that's in between this one
Okay.
This is the mandocello.
and cello.
This is the mandola, or equivalent to the viola in the bowed stringed world. And then of course the mandolin, or AKA the violin, right?
So it's based on
So
sizes and sound. Deeper sound, higher sound. Is that? I mean,
yeah, yeah. The mandolin family is really modeled after the violin family. But came centuries later, out of the European tradition, and so mandolin orchestras initially were playing mandolin orchestra music written in a classical style.
cool.
That quickly, for lots of different reasons I won't go into, that sort of evolved into around the turn of the 19th century, before World War One. The I don't want to say mass production, but the I guess it was a mass production of its time of the Neapolitan style mandolins, which were the mandolins with the bowl back
Okay.
and the little sound hole on the top. They tended to be flat top. They're designed in a certain way, and they have a really different sound. But they were meant to be played orchestrally, so they were meant to have many other mandolins with them.
Okay.
And if you ever listen to a modern day mandolin orchestra, you can hear what I'm talking about.
Cool.
And so being so in the Americas, of course, the mandolin orchestra era sort of evolved between the traditional classical styles and then the new stuff.
Right.
There's always new stuff, and so there were mandolin players from Europe who were raised in a classical, master mandolin players who were raised classical, and once they moved to the Americas, of course, all the freedom of expression, eventually it evolved into, and you can look this stuff up, but there were mandolin orchestras all over the country that were actually composing what we call now period music. So they were composing mandolin orchestra music that was in that day modern. So it wasn't necessarily the Vivaldi pieces, or even Mozart wrote for mandolin. So yeah.
Cool.
Does that make sense? Yeah.
So today's piece.
So yeah. Sorry.
Today's piece that you're going to play, is it classical, historical, or is it something newer version of?
Well, I don't really have. I've been this mandola the mandola is a funky instrument because it's not incredibly a melodic instrument when it's played in a group. It's more of a rhythmic or counter melody type instrument. So it's collects a lot of dust.
Okay.
But in these last couple of weeks, I've been dying to pull it out and play it, and so I don't have anything necessarily prepared, but I was going to do maybe just a little improvisation of what I do to sort of meditate with my music and my instruments, and
Awesome.
it helps ground me as a human being and a musician. So
Wow.
it's kind of my yeah. So I'll let you hear it
Cool.
and give you a little taste of what it sounds like. Now it's really so the mandola is an octave higher than the cello.
Okay.
So after studying the cello for the last 10, 12 years, I can now take a lot of what I learned on the cello and apply it to the mandola. It's a little smaller, it's a little easier to play, and it has amazing tone. So what I tend to do, I still love noodling, but I like taking arpeggios, which are just a group of notes within a scale, and and see how much I can move them around and connect them to one another, while at the same time creating almost a groove that is sort of inexplicable. I can't. It just is. It's improvisation.
Cool.
And then, I will probably bust into a little composition.
Awesome. So amazing. When you say that meditative thing, like that's exactly where I was going with that. With all lately being online and doing all this stuff lately, I try to save time for music every day. And what I get benefit of me doing the show with you is that I get to hear something live. And it takes you to a place that's different than Spotify or Apple Music or whatever. So I really, that was a gorgeous song. I don't know if gorgeous is the right word to use with music, but
Thank you.
the sound of that too is just, it's melodically mantra-like, meditative. So yeah, that's cool. I do want to switch gears a little bit. Like these are some kind of quirky questions, but like what
That's okay.
I wore this shirt today because when I think of Kevin Fabozzi, I think of like being outside, listening to music, maybe taking the flip-flops off, dancing in some dirt, huffing in some dust and everything. But I don't know if that comes from me, or what's your favorite venue that you've played in your career?
Wow. Well, I have to say, it's got to be the Grand Tardy Bluegrass Festival.
All right. So we are on the same page because
yeah,
when I think of that place and I think of you, I have this, and I think of this shirt, I have this just this sort of relaxed feeling of like the puzzle fits. Like it's not that last piece you're trying to, like, it doesn't seem to go anywhere. It just like goes right in, boom. And so
yeah.
when I think of Targhee, and I haven't been to the Bluegrass Festival in years. We switched over to the other one, the Music Fest. But, when I first moved here, I was going there, like Frick and the Posse. And like,
Yeah.
I just feel like that's a place where you really, really get your jam on. And I know you were doing a music camp down there. Is that still happening? Like, you've been still doing that?
Yeah, that was, so last year was the 10th summer in a row, Target Music Camp. I was at the first couple, and then over the last, since the kids have gotten a little older and I can escape again in the summer times, I've been down twice in the last 3 years to, I'll just be on deck to help out with whatever the coordinator needs. There's all kinds of there's all kinds of instruction that goes beyond just the classroom. I host a few jams. I work with beginners with mandolin and guitar, and I get to, and it's, all the instructors are students as well, and so it's this never ending learning environment. So that's like that the camp and the festival are major events in my music life.
I feel like music itself is so community learning organized. And I'm not a musician. I guess we all are musicians, but I'm not a trained musician. But when I see you guys or anybody sit around and just start jamming, if it's 3 in the morning, if it's 8 in the morning, if it's noon, and
Yeah.
he's kind of feeding off each other, and there's no one puts the boundaries up. Like, all the boundary walls seem to come down, and I call that vulnerability. Like, I feel like everybody is opening themselves to this vulnerability that allows the learning and the sharing of music and what chords and how do we make this work and fit in. Like, I'm always just blown away with watching people sit and just play music together.
Yeah, it's me too. And I've learned over the years to look at it like, it's a language. And so, and especially like with bluegrass, for instance, like the language of bluegrass to me it became a foundation. And so, yes, to go and be able to share the language,
Right.
You're always, every time you go and share the language with somebody, you're learning a little something different about the language too.
Yeah. I guess I've
So
never
it's,
as a language.
yeah, absolutely. That really helps me keep it in perspective when I get overwhelmed. Like if I'm in a session with players that are maybe less experienced or way more experienced,
Right.
and all of a sudden I'm having to kind of jockey what I know against maybe people that are a little less experienced or more. Then it becomes really apparent, that it's this communicative vehicle, and is all it is. And so
Okay.
the more chords, the more melodies, the more tones you become familiar with, the more you can speak the language with other people that you've never spoken it with before.
Right. All right. Aside from your music, or maybe it fits in, favorite lyric, riff, drum solo, guitar solo, whatever it is, lifetime of Kevin Fabozzi is?
Wow. That is, man, that's an unfair question.
It actually is. Because I couldn't tell you mine because there's so many, and then I can't pinpoint one, but sometimes, I don't know, musicians might have that one where they just, if they sing it and they perform it or they hear it, it's like, that's the one.
Man, I don't know if I really do have one.
Okay.
I certainly have like a list of favorite, records, and I have my favorite artists and things, but
Okay.
man.
So say you're isolated in
Okay, I got one for you.
if you're isolated in a small mountain town, what are your top 5 albums? Oh,
So
you got
here's,
a song.
but here's so here's the riff.
Here's the riff.
This is a life-changing riff.
All right. Bracing myself.
it goes like this. Really, it goes. So that's like so Bill Monroe,
Oh yeah.
known as the father of bluegrass music, he took all that he learned about the blues and he applied it to the mandolin before Jerry Lee Lewis and before Elvis and before those guys and before Buddy Holly. And so Monroe, I got to say that's probably the lick. I didn't think of it until just now, but it's.
Like I said, and not
Yeah.
just that version, but like a version of that. And I don't have a huge musical ear. I love music. I love live music. It's something our family does, and we look forward to it. I wish I could do it every day, but that is a lick I've heard that like you're like, oh yeah, here it comes.
Yeah.
Yo, baby, this is gonna.
Yeah.
Get
Exactly.
down.
Yeah, I never thought of it like that, but that's got to be the lick, man. That's
That
for
is,
sure.
that's kick your flip flops off time. Like that is the time.
Totally.
Um,
Totally.
speaking of Monroe, are there any musicians like right now? You know, I feel like we always go through different times in our lives, different people, but like right now, who are you listening to when you're not playing?
Oh boy. I listen to a variety of music, but I think some of my favorite contemporary musicians that really are that really help that really transform music for me every time I hear them play. Got to be Derek Trucks.
Oh yeah, love him.
Derek Trucks just every time he plays, I feel like I'm sitting on a cloud.
Yeah, man.
It's like unbelievable. He really kicks my you know what. Now in the acoustic world, there's so many. Of course, David Grisman was a huge influence on me, but recently, aside from the obvious names like Chris Thile, and some of the young master players out there, Mike Marshall is. I always go back to Mike. He's he's a master of many styles.
Yeah.
He's a mandolin player extraordinaire, but also he's a mandocello player. He's a guitarist. He plays fiddle. He's this multi-instrumental monster player. And he, in the last probably 15 years now, has dedicated a lot of his creative time to learning Brazilian choral music. I haven't spent a lot of time trying to learn the music, but I got to say it's some of the most beautiful music that in the Americas, at least in North America, is yet to really be people have yet to tap into it. Is in terms of it's got a lot of the elements of West African clave, and it's got a lot of that, but it's really central to South American folk music.
Okay.
And so it's kind of like they're equivalent to our real traditional bluegrass music in that sense. Although both of the styles don't, they're completely different.
So for someone like myself and any of our viewers or listeners, again, Google Mike Marshall,
Yeah,
guitarist.
absolutely. Yeah.
Um, I think it's time for us to play another song. That would be, you play another song, me listen.
Okay.
Cool. With any of your quivers.
Okay. What am I going to do? Let's do, I was going to do a Bill Monroe song here. I don't know if this is in tune, so give me one sec here. We'll see.
This is tuned up in Big Sky, so we best be in tune.
Yeah, it's elevation tuned. That's good enough. So this is a Bill Monroe instrumental tune. You know, he wrote a lot of instrumental tunes that were kind of modeled for the fiddle. Very upbeat, 4/4 or cut time tunes, 2/4 tunes that were, you know, composed in back in the day for Saturday night dances. And so this one is not that. This one is a little different from his repertoire. And it wasn't, I don't even know if he actually even ever recorded it, but it got written in tablature, and I learned it years ago. And I don't play it note for note by any means, but I hope you like it. It's called, what's it called? It's called the Evening Prayer Blues. And so it goes like this.
Yeah. Awesome. Oh man, I could sit here and I could I'm probably gonna ask you to play one more tune. I like two more questions for you. A couple things to go over. You know, with recent events, without using the C word, I think I saw a couple posts on Facebook, but how are you continuing to practice your craft with things the way things are going? Like you're not out wherever you might be playing, but like, do you find the creative process being different now that you're isolated at home? And I don't know. I'm doing that.
Yeah, a little bit. I think a little bit. I'm doing a lot more noodling. There's a lot less, I got to say, there's a lot less like concentrated effort on skill sets.
Okay.
I do. I am a guitar student, man, all the way, and I'm always on another journey with the guitar to learn more, and so yeah, I have kind of curved the. I was taking like each morning I was taking a 30-minute lesson. That's sort of kind of that's kind of gone. I mean, even though the lessons stick with me and I can practice them on my own.
Who was the lessons with?
But yeah, a lot more noodling. I think a lot more just.
How do you create a lesson? For us who don't know something like this, but like, how do you create a lesson? Is that something you create on your own, or do you have a program to follow?
No. I guess I'm taking lessons. Like
Yeah.
I have a couple of my favorite online instructors, and
Oh, okay.
actually,
Wow.
yeah. So I'm always trying to learn more. Is
Yeah.
all. you know, like jazz guitar has always been, for me, is like, if I could ever learn that language, man, that's like, so yeah. But I got, like, to answer your question though, I think more, it's been more of a meditative approach. Each time I pick up an instrument, I'm looking for peace.
Right.
I'm trying to open myself up to the vibrations that bring in those emotions and those feelings, rather than a real structured 3.5 minute song or something. And there's lots of those that I love too, that are pertinent to the times.
Right.
But lyrically, I haven't really, like tunes. Yeah, lyrically, I haven't really dove into too much since this has all been going on. A lot of noodling instrumentally. I have, electric guitars and acoustic guitars and all these mandolins, and so I'm just grateful I can pick them up and play a few notes on them. So yeah.
So, our last guest, Brian Stumpf, called you Obi Wan Fabozzi, and
Yeah.
so I had this preconception as a person who thinks they know everything that, oh, this is the reason. But in the last 30 whatever minutes we've been together, you've given me more history of music. You seem to be like the Obi-Wan. I get the Obi-Wan connection or the metaphor. Like, you study music is like part of you, and it's more than just some people I know who just play music. Like, you study it, you involve your life with it. I mean, the fact that I had no idea that you still took lessons, like, you are truly like a music connoisseur is the wrong word, and I can't think of the word right now, but someone that truly not only plays music but studies it, and has a culture of music and knows the history of music. And that is like, in the 20 years I've known you, I have never seen that side of you. And like, doing this is one of the things like I love about this, is because people open up differently. I don't know why or who cares, but like, you and your history of music, like, I wrote a bunch of things down here that I got to go and like further research to build what my appreciation of music. Like, my appreciation of music is always like, go to a festival, go to Chet's, go to whatever,
Yeah.
listen to music and be entertained. But there's so much more about music, and there's so much deep, rich history, and the language that you kept talking about is like unbelievable, that it makes me want to, further study it myself. And so I appreciate that.
Well, you can just go out and feel the vibration too, and as long as you're receiving it, in some capacity, I think there's benefit on both ends, even if you're not a musician.
Right.
But I think even musicians can polish up their receiving skills and being able to take it in, and not be a drumhead, so to speak, and
Right.
where you hit that drumhead, man, and the tip of that stick just wants to go right flying behind you. So, yeah, it's
How about
been
that?
quite a journey, But to answer, just to you, I love the metaphor of the Jedi, because I'm still just a Jedi.
Right. But in our local community, people look at you as Obi-Wan. So I think that's also part of the transition, and the powerful part of language of music is like, maybe here you're the Obi-Wan, but in the bigger picture, in your picture, you're just still a Jedi. Or maybe you're still Luke pondering, getting into the swampy area, which Elijah and I, ironically, have been watching a lot of Star Wars. We're going through the whole Star Wars trilogy this week.
Yeah.
So one last thought before we hear your last song is I always feel like music heals. It's a healing factor that, you're not taking a vitamin, you're not taking a tincture, you're not going to the doctor, but like, something about music and its healing powers throughout the history of music, which I guess is the history of man and womankind, because whether you're banging a stick on a rock or tapping the side of your leg, you know, now we're fortunate to be able to do this recording without being next to each other, although that's obviously the goal of all of this would be like you and I sitting next to each other. The transition in the history of music, I think there's one thing that has stayed solid, and that's healing. And it really came to fruition the other night. I listened to Martin Sexton on his Instagram or his Facebook page on the Fireside, and
Yeah.
I got tears in my eyes, and I like it's healing. It does that. So we would love if you played one more song that you might think of off the top of your head, because I didn't prompt you for this, because it is unscripted. Is there a song that you think that you play that is healing, that could heal and help us work through this isolation time? And we would love to hear that. That would be awesome. If you can think of something off the top of your head. And
Maybe I could do.
what you think may not be what we think. So any song is going to heal us.
Okay.
Now you got to get an old guitar out.
And my little guitar, yeah. I mean, there are a lot of them. This is, I couldn't decide what to do. Made me think of yeah, I think lots of folks could relate to the song. This is it's an old Townes Van Zandt tune, and it heals me.
Cool.
It's called No Place to Fall. Hopefully I can remember it all. If I had no place to fall, and I needed to, could I count on you to lay me down? I wouldn't tell you no lies. Oh, I don't believe it's wise. You got pretty eyes. Now won't you spin me round? I ain't much of a lover, it's true. But I'm here and I'm gone, and I'm forever blue. Oh, but I still want you. Oh, skies full of silver gold. Oh, they try to hide the sun, but it can't be done. At least not for long. And if we help each other grow, while the light of day shines on our way, then we can't go wrong. Over time, it's a fast old train that's here and it's gone, and it won't come again. So won't you take my hand? And if I had no place to phone, and I needed to. Could I count on you? Leave me.
Yeah, man. I wish I had a program that made the sound amazing. What I do know is this virtual stuff that we're doing is not even close to our human interactions, let alone hearing music as it truly can be. Um,
Yeah.
but Kevin Fabozzi, I appreciate you. I appreciate our time together tonight. Is there a place we can hear you? Not out in town, but I saw some Facebook. Should people look at Facebook to hear some songs?
Yeah, for sure. I'm not finding a lot of time to do that. Initially, I was, but I love sharing it, and I really love the connection that those first couple of posts made. So yeah, friend me on Facebook, and you don't even have to friend me. You can go check it out.
Cool.
I'm hoping to get back playing soon. You know, I played a lot of duets this past winter with Tom Murphy, and we just had a blast, kind of reorganizing what used to be a trio and switching the roles, so to speak. And that. Hopefully there'll be more of that to come. I don't have anything really cooking, but yeah, I will be. I have been recording some fun stuff, you know, that I think is worthy of, you know, putting out there every
Yep.
now and then. So yeah, but I don't have like a, you know, website or anything like that. So
It's all good, man.
hey,
We hope this
cool,
blows
man.
over soon, and we're gonna get to see you outside or indoors, but be next to each other and hug and handshake and do a shot of whiskey and be able to really enjoy Kevin Fabozzi's music. So myself and my audience, if there are any, appreciate your time today. That was amazing. I'm very humbled to know that I know you and that we have our lives together, and I cannot look more forward to then seeing you off of a computer and
Yeah,
in the great outdoors or in the great whatever building it may come. So
no kidding, no kidding,
my
man.
heart, Kevin, this has been a great experience, and I really appreciate you taking time out of your family and your day. And
Oh man, thank you, Jeremy. Yeah, it's a real honor to be a part of, you know, this, and I love your questions, and what you're getting after is, yeah, it's a little void of vibration. It's funny, you know, I always think music is this, like, it's just this in its rarest, purest form is simply just vibrations.
yeah,
But it doesn't cut it coming out of these little smartphones and
yeah,
computers. They don't quite kick out the vibration for me either. But this has been amazing, man. Thank you so
man,
much.
I appreciate it. Also, folks, don't forget tonight. Fish plays Dinner and a Movie at 6:30 Mountain Standard Time on Fish's Facebook. Um, please check out other musicians, whether they're local or abroad, and on their Instagram, Facebook, Twitch, other social media outlets. And don't forget to check us out on our schedule on Instagram at Radio Big Sky. And for now, and until we hear more music, it's good night, and I appreciate it, brother. Love you.
Yeah, man. Thank you. Love you lots, buddy. We'll see you soon.